Went down to Mercers, my first summer go, and couldn't get anywhere near the point. So you had 2 swims on the end of the point, the night swim, which still remains one of my favourite swims ever, and then the Alamo was next to it. They were the 4 swims on the point. They didn't come free for like 3 months, and I'm not exaggerating. You couldn't get in them swims. So you're in 89, which is the last swim as used to be, and the Alamo swim, as you look down, is probably about 120 or more yards away, and they're fishing out into the lake straight out 100 yards. So it's 180 yards away from where the swim 89 is. So you're fishing at 100, and you're back up in the cheap seats, you know. And I went down there for a night. I don't even think I got an 89. I think I fished an 88, which fishes straight out in front of you, not even down to the point, and just her beep, 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 and headlamps just going like all night long. And I ain't doing this. I am not spectating. I'll go off somewhere else. And then I went back in the autumn when it calmed down a bit. And yeah, we had a good couple of seasons with Active 8, like still getting half a dozen in a session, 24, 25, 27, 31, 32. It's like that's like used to be a season's worth of big uns for me, you know, in one trip, you know.
So you're sort of pinching yourself a little bit about the size of fish you're catching.
100%, mate. Yeah, 100%. It was a massive step up. You know, it's like if I caught 5 or 6 30s in a season, then I'd done well, you know. And I always remember one of my last seasons on Mercers, I tried to catch. No, it wouldn't have even been 5 or 6 30s. You might have caught 2 in a season, you know. And on one of my last seasons, I gunned for 10, and it's one of the worst experiences of my angling life, because I told everybody,
no,
I'm gunning for 10. So the first thing out of anyone's mouth for 6 bumps was, "What you on? How many you on?" That was the first thing, and I'd be like,
Damn.
7.
Oh.
I'm 7. So you can imagine the pressure I'm under to achieve 10, and it was a war of attrition. It wasn't fun, you know, and as a result of that, I learned from that season. From then on, I'll never give myself a real proper target.
Not publicly.
Well, you know, now I'm trying to catch certain fish out of certain lakes, but if I don't catch them, it's not the end of the world. I'm trying to catch them, but it's not life and death. Whereas back then it was life and death.
You probably tucked yourself up there.
I really did. Yeah. And a mid-30 got caught on my rods while I was at the gate picking up the Chinese. It was like takeaway central there. Like everybody had the thing at Mercers was you could turn up on Friday night with no bait and no food and no water and fish all weekend, because they'd all go, "Mate, we're having a curry, come on, just have some of ours. Here's some bait, you know, I'll do the teas." It was the buzz down there was amazing. That's one of the Christmas do's. So Billy the golfer on the left, Chris the golfer on the right, two pro golfers that lived and worked in the area, and we're probably having smoked salmon and scrambled eggs.
This is where you met these guys, is it?
This is where I met Chris,
because they're still
Billy.
friends to this
lifelong
day,
friends, mate. Yeah. Take a bullet for both of them, mate. They're the bollocks.
And in that previous picture that Toby put up, I could see Chris had what looked like a safe zone leader on as well. Was this sort of around the time?
Must have been. Yeah, the start of the safe zone leaders.
And how much of an influence on what you were developing was Mercers down in terms of fine tuning this range kit?
Massively.
Yeah.
But you go, any manufacturer, any you know, wannabe entrepreneur, designer, whatever, will always credit where they were fishing at the time with the inception of those ideas that have become mainstay. You actually can see that's my square saucepan there, my that's got 8 sausages in it. So maybe it wasn't small, but isn't there a thing of stick mix on the table there right next to
and the plunger look? Yep.
Yeah.
So right next to the kettle,
yeah, there's a bottle of red wine from the night before.
Well, we don't know what colour wine it is because it's all gone.
I don't know if it's Chris's, it'll be a bottle of red wine. Definitely.
I've got another picture to back that up as well.
Yeah, no. Here we go. So if you go, there's one of Billy with a bucket. So unfortunately, I haven't got any fish pictures of Billy. I don't know why. This is Billy the golfer, right?
So let's throw this one up.
Absolutely superb golfer. So this is one of the Christmas do's, right? This is right at the end of Mercers. and we'd always go down there and have the Christmas fish,
Yeah.
right? And Chris the golfer worked, or still not works, but he's got a pro shop at one of the local golf courses, Tandridge, I think it is. Really prestigious, Bentley, all these kind of motors, Ferrari, all lined up members. And he'd bring the 40 stew. So, because the first time he took it to the lake, he caught a 40-pounder. So it was the 40 stew, the beef stew that he would bring down. We'd cook curries and everything on the bank. He'd bring loads of cobras and all that. And we're on one bank, and on the opposite bank, there's loads of characters on Mercers. This is the other thing. It's one of the first places I fished. There's a bloke called the Fiddler, because he looked like a kiddie fiddler.
Can't rival Elstow for names, though, sure.
No, it can't. We'll have to get onto that.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm trying to think some of the other. Well, the guy on the opposite bank was Mr. Britas. You know Mr. Britas from the Britas Empire. Yeah. So he ran.
They're never complimentary.
He ran a sports centre like Mr. Britas. Yeah. So he was Mr. Britas. But Mr. Britas, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, a little bit of a gossip. And he likes ringing round, and he's had one today. I've seen him doing that. He always loved a gossip. So the three of us are on the opposite side. We're quite a few cobras deep at this point, and red wines and what have you. And we've started taking these pictures because obviously he thinks
I see where
the count.
Yeah.
So the phone rings. Have you had one? Like he's over on the point. We're in the open swim and number 10 or number 7 or something. Yeah, Billy's had one. Oh, I knew Billy'd get one. He always does. I knew he'd get one. So you have that. The other two are like in the background, trying not to piss themselves laughing. Then we do it again. Has he had another one? Oh, yeah, another 30, mate. Oh, I knew they were over there. I should have gone over there. I knew I should have gone in 7. But then obviously now he's ringing everyone else and telling everyone else that Billy's having it off in number 7. We've done another one. So if you go through the other pictures, Chris returning a bottle of wine. So it's Billy holding the bucket.
That's what
they're the pictures. We weren't just taking pictures. We weren't just flashing the camera. We were taking pictures. So there's Chris putting back a nice red that he's brought with him. So if Mr. Britas didn't know that, soz. But we properly he told loads of people went down there after. It was shut up shop. You're not getting a bite. Loads of people went down there and
screwed
fished.
yourself then, really?
No, we just...
You went somewhere else?
Yeah, we went somewhere else, but no, like the word on the grapevine was Mercers is back on fire again. Billy's had 3 in a night, so loads of people are down there when it's absolutely virtually frozen over, trying to get a bite out of it. But yeah, we had it wouldn't. So who? Long Bob, and I can't remember Bob's brother, but Bob was like 11 foot tall. I think he lives in Thailand now. I'm terrible with names, but there was loads of people on there. I think Stevie Cowell was fishing down there at the time.
And in terms of the kind of, as you found it, Dan, who were doing, were the guys that were head and shoulders above the others in terms of results, or?
I don't know. I would imagine Billy the golfer was probably top rod. He normally is. He's just relentless.
Right.
Relentless.
What does he do well?
The right things. Yeah, he just relentless, and yeah, he doesn't chop and change. He's not clouded by going off and trying to reinvent the wheel or anything like that. He does the right things right. He's fishing up at Embryo Bastard at the moment. He's caught virtually I think he has caught every big one now. He's completed it pretty much. And I talked to him on the phone the other day on the way into work. Might have even been today. And he said, yeah, nobody heard about the 18-night blank before I started catching them. I said, yeah, but you just carried on, Bill, didn't you? No, you didn't get disheartened. You didn't go somewhere else to go and get a couple of bites. You just carried on. And when they were feeding and you picked the right swim, because it was location why he wasn't catching them before, because they were in an area they shouldn't have been in. And said as soon as they're feeding and you got in the right swim, you mowed it down, didn't you?
Interesting contrast, Dan. That here's Bill, who's calm and relentless, and there's you, who probably, if you blank, you want to change something.
Definitely. definitely. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't hold my own as well. I'm sure I was up there, but I wasn't counting really.
Until that year.
I was trying to beat myself.
Yeah.
Trying to hit my own targets and what have you, and obviously trying to get the most out of every session. But I think, I'm trying to think. Stevie Cowell was very, very, very. He might have been top rod. He was, very astute angler, mega on the ball, knew about everything, knew what everybody else was doing. Made a point of being everyone's bestest pal. So he knew every single bit of information. Glenn from Fisher Baits. Do you remember the Fisher Baits?
I do. Winter Secret.
Yeah, Glenn was fishing down there as well. He used to catch them. Obviously, Lockie. It's weird. Lockie didn't join the syndicate, so he heard it was going syndicate, and he was told that he wasn't going to get in, and didn't apply on principle. And if you don't apply, you don't get in, do you? And I think he would have got in. I can't remember whether he joined later on or not, but yeah, I think at the start it was pretty much like I say, Steve the Copper caught loads, absolutely loads. So that I don't think it was, because it was so productive. There are hundreds and hundreds of fish, and certainly scores and scores of 30s. I remember somebody was taken down there as a guest, and what was it? No. So yeah, somebody's taken it down there as a guest, fishing in the open bank. He's got a 30-pounder on the mat, just about to pick it up for the pictures, and a member turned up, and the barrow didn't even slow down on his way to the. And this is when 30-pounders were big news, Yeah. And he said, "I can't believe it. The keys never even stopped." Yeah. And that's just how commonplace 30-pounders were down there, And back in the day, let's chuck up a couple more pictures of them. They're very distinctive carp, lots of levers. Lots of levers. Right, look. So this is your prime example. Look at that poor thing's face. That's swim number 5. You see how low the water is there. You can see all that exposed bank. So basically, you've got, if you can see in the distance there, there's a little post. You can see the post right on the end of that spit. Yep. So what you used to do was go up the top, walk along behind them trees, go down the path, and you weren't supposed to be down there, but you go down onto that sand, and that gap. There's a gap of about 20 yards between there and an island, the only island on the lake. And used to bait, there was a rope going across it to stop the canoeists coming in. So you'd fish as tight to that rope as you could and just go down there and just spray boilies in, or in this case, probably pellet. That was like the pellet was an absolute revolution. That might have even, the pellet side of it might have spawned the spodding, because you could obviously catapult pellet from there. And I remember I had 11 over 25 pound in a morning there, and I was taking my niece Holly out, and I had to pack up, and I was talking to Terry on the phone, and he said I haven't had 11 over 25 this year. And it was like I had one bloke weighing them, another bloke netting them, another bloke with them on the mat, and I'm just picking them up going, I probably had 20 fish that morning, but that was a whole one of them black buckets that we used to send the leads out in, a whole one of them of 8mm pellets all over this bit, stiff rig, 15mm bottom bait with a fucking cork ball on top of it on a stiff hair. God knows what it must have worked like. Size 4 long shank XE sort of type hook, probably one of the Gamakatsus. And a bag, PVA bag at about 110, I guess, braid. Just literally, I remember one point that morning, I got a rod on the rest, and I'm like, I'm going to get 2 rods out. And it went, and just put that one down with the bag on it. And literally, as I got that one in, I banged the other one back out there. And then dealing with that one, and I've just got, just insane.
Have you had big fish fishing like that since, Dan, even? As productive as that? Say consistently productive, let's say. I was looking through my pictures. I even said to Dovey today, I said, I used to catch loads. I don't catch nothing anymore by comparison to what I used to catch. But like this spring, I've had 2. We're nearly June. I've had two worth catching. I have to ask,
England.
Dan, did you catch any of the chub?
Yeah, plagued by the chub.
Were you?
Absolutely.
There's loads
plagued,
in there. I could have imagined there'd be like 3 or something.
Unhooking like 7 and 8 pounders in the net and just I never weighed any of them. I never photographed any of them. I think if you're not fishing from, that's a particularly clean one for Mercers. Look at the mouth.
Lovely fish, mate.
Yeah,
very, very clean.
I should have been down dark alleyways scaring people with that face. Look at me.
And it's all about the free spirit carpy clothing at that stage.
Yeah, free
isn't
spirit clothing, living in waders. And
you had that carpy fleece, Dan. You wore that for donkeys, didn't you? In the end,
carpy fleece.
That was on like the hoodie one with the camo.
Oh, I know the one that you mean.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the sort of real tree one. Yeah. That was that free spirit one, was it? Yeah. They're first people to do. Well, Shimano did it, didn't it? Because I was dire where I couldn't wear Shimano, so I had to. Yeah, I put that one up. That's like, looking back at these pictures. I must have caught that one 4 or 5 times and didn't actually recognise at the time that I was catching the same one because I didn't have that level of.
That wasn't what you were at.
That attention to detail. When you become a fishery owner, your appreciation of carp changes definitely, right. Yeah, I've got loads of pictures of that particular fish, but I like them with the little fins. And if that was swimming around in a car park lake, it'd be black as you're at, and people would fish all year for it, wouldn't they?
It's a great carp, that one.
But yeah, there was lots of levers in there, lots and lots of levers.